Hello and welcome to Sam Not So Wise. My name is Sam. Today I'm going to be completing what I consider as my trilogy of introduction videos. So I just started the channel and my first video was my top 10 series of all time. And then I followed it up with the BookTube newbie tag. I'll pop both of those in the description below. And today I'm going to be doing my list of shame and my priority series for the future and authors, and my end of year TBR, as it were. Just so you can get an idea of what I haven't read and what I really want to read and what I'm going to be talking about for the rest of the year. One little caveat before we start: I live in Iceland, if you didn't know, and my God, it should be called Windland really, because it is always windy and today is extra blowy. So if you do hear any wind, I apologize, but if I had to stop for the wind, then I would never make a video, basically. So with much further ado, let's talk about my list of shame. So when I say list of shame, I don't actually ever feel shame for anything I have read or haven't read. I'm just going to start with some series that most of them are quite popular, that I have started and not finished. And I'll give you a reason for each one, but really, I'm not ashamed of anything, and I don't think anybody should be ashamed of what they have and haven't read. People read what they want to read, and that's fine. So, having said that, there are two that I'm slightly ashamed of. So if you watch my top 10 fantasy series video, you'll know that Wheel of Time is my favourite series. And I haven't read A New Spring. So this is a prequel novel to the series. People say you should read it around the 6th book, I believe, and I just, for some reason, never picked it up. I don't know why. I should have. I love this series so much, and this gives a lot of context to one of my favourite characters in the series, Moraine. So I really should read it, and I actually found this copy, which is a first edition, in a second-hand bookshop in Iceland, which will be contrary to what I said in my tag video, where there are no good second-hand bookshops. So this is very high on my list to read. You know, I really need to read this. I'm quite ashamed. Down you go. And the next one, again, another of my favorite series of all time, is The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. Classic fantasy, amazing stuff, but with a little twist. And I absolutely love this series. So this first series, ending in Wrath, is a 4-book series, and it is followed up with a 3-book series later called Of Blood and Bone, a trilogy. And it's following on, I think, about 100 years later, maybe longer. And I can't believe I haven't read them because I loved this series so much. I think it's partly to do with the time gap between the stories. Didn't exactly entice me as much as if it was a little bit later with the same characters. I know some of the characters are repeated, which tells you a little bit about the lore of the story, but that's one reason. And another is just because TBRs, man, they're relentless. And I would pick things up depending on what I'm seeing other people read, or I kind of generally buy a lot of secondhand, so what's available to me or cheap on Kindle. So yeah, I am actually a little bit ashamed. I haven't read that trilogy and I really need to. Now I have the problem of probably having to reread these because it's been quite a few years and I would miss some details if I didn't. So that's another thing that pushes it back. So they're the two I am actually ashamed of. Okay, moving forward. First Law, absolute BookTube darling, First Law. I have read the first trilogy. The First Law trilogy, and I haven't gone on. I actually own most of them on Kindle now, but I haven't read on. And the main reason I haven't read on is because, don't tell anybody, but I was quite lukewarm on this trilogy. It was fine, it was good, but it wasn't what everyone was raving about. I didn't get the hype like everybody else, so I kind of just jumped off the hype train and prioritized other stuff. Now, I am really interested in reading on, but again, similar to Faithful and the Fallen, it's been quite a few years, so I'd probably need to reread another 3 books, and time, TBRs, rereading, I don't know, but I'm thinking about maybe doing it next year, doing all of Abercrombie's stuff. So let me know if I should. I know there will be a lot of people that say I should. So there's one. And another YouTube darling, Red Rising. Again, I've read the first trilogy. Now, the thing that stopped me carrying on in this was that the second series, which is now 4 books, hadn't been released, and there's still one to be released. So that was kind of a deterrent to me, because I quite like to be able to read my series in, not back to back, but quite close together, because I got a crap memory, so I just kind of need to do that. So again, I would probably have to reread them all to get back into it. But I am interested in reading on, because I did enjoy the trilogy, probably more than First Law, for example. So yeah, that's another one. This is the year of Cosmere for me, but I have not read the second era Mistborn books. Partly because, again, it wasn't finished, and secondly because I hear a lot of mixed opinions on the second trilogy. So I don't know, I just wasn't that bothered. So let me know if I should. I don't know, especially now that the second series is finished. But however, this year I'm reading a lot of Sanderson in preparation for the 5th Stormlight book, and I think I'm going to have to take a break from him. Like, I'm enjoying myself, but it's a lot of Sanderson, so probably not. Now, another one, Dune. This is definitely not a shame thing. I've read the first 4 books in the Dune series. So up to God Emperor of Dune. Loved Dune. Dune Messiah, good. Children of Dune, loved it. God Emperor, oh my God. It was such a struggle. And I hear that kind of all of the books after that don't improve. So I have no intention of going further with that. That's the end of Dune for me. I enjoyed the ride. Love Dune, but that's it for now. Another one that I don't have a physical copy is Dresden Files. So I've read the first 3 books in the Dresden Files series. Can't actually remember what the third one is called. Grave Peril, maybe? And they were fine. Not bothered about continuing. Everybody says wait till changes, which is book 28 or something in the series. And I just don't really care right now. If I had loads of time, and I know they're short books, but I want to spend my time enjoying the books I'm reading. So never say never, but at the moment, not really bothered. Now, I've just realised there's one I forgot, which I am actually ashamed of. I've spoken in my top 10 series about being a big Discworld fan. I haven't read the last Discworld book, which is Raising Steam. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One, I kind of don't want the journey to end. And 2, I know that he wrote it when he was very ill, basically on his last legs. And I've heard it just kind of struggles because of that, and that would make me sad. So I will read it one day, but I don't know, I'm a little bit reluctant for now. So now it's time to talk about my priority series and authors. Obviously I have a super long TBR just like everybody else. So I'll talk about some of the series that are catching my eye at the moment, which I haven't decided on, so it's up to you guys to let me know whether they should go up or down the priority list. I'll try and keep this quick because obviously there's going to be loads. So Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. I really love East Asian inspired anything basically, so I'm really interested in that. The Book of the New Sun. I love deep philosophical, difficult sci-fi, and I've heard that this is kind of the cream of the crop in terms of that, so that is something that I really want to read. Now the big one, the big bad boy is Malazan. Malaise. I really want to read Malazan, Book of the Fallen. I've kind of put it off because of how daunting it is, but I feel like I'm finally at a level where I've read a lot of fantasy and feel like I could start to keep up with it. So Malazan, for sure. A new booktube darling is Sun Eater. I really want to read Sun Eater. Again, the big, deep, long sci-fi series. That is something that really appeals to me. So Sun Eater has to be read soon. I've talked about Ian Banks already in my 2 videos quite a bit, and I've read all of his culture series, but he has a lot of non-sci-fi books. For example, I have Dead Air here. I really want to get to this. Ian Banks, I love the man, I need to read him. And he has a few more sci-fi books that aren't in the culture series, so I need to read them. Guy Gavriel Kay, I've been aware of him for a long time, and now everybody seems to be talking about him, so I'm just eager to get to Guy Gavriel Kay. I really want to start with A Song for our Bunny, because I'm a musician, so that sounds interesting to me. Octavia E. Butler, I've read Kindred and loved it. Parable of the Sower and the Earthseed series or duology is something that really appeals to me, so I really need to get to those as soon as possible. Ursula K. Le Guin, I've read her Earthsea, love it. And I've read The Left Hand of Darkness. I really need to get to The Dispossessed and a few others in her sci-fi series. David Mitchell, everything I've read by him, 3 books I've read by him have been excellent, but I haven't read Bone Clocks, and I really, really want to read that. In fact, I want to complete his bibliography because I love him as a writer. Stephen King, I've read 14 Stephen King books, including one of my favorite series, Dark Tower. It's down there, you can't see it. So I really want to read a lot more of Stephen King. I'm not bothered about reading all 800 of his books, just the ones that really appeal to me, which is probably 30 or 40, so that's a lot. Adrian Tchaikovsky, I really, really, really want to read more Adrian Tchaikovsky. He's got a lot of stuff though, so I've got my work cut out for me. Peter F. Hamilton, I talked about him in my best sci-fi and fantasy book series. I really want to read more of his books. They are massive, so that's another big task, but I really want to read the Night's Dawn trilogy. And I kind of want to get through as many of these as I can. So this is the Sci-Fi Masterworks series by Glance. So there are a lot of older sci-fi series that are kind of the pinnacle, the linchpins of the genre. For example, here is Vernor Vinge's A Fire Upon the Deep. Look at that artwork, it's absolutely gorgeous. I know these yellow backs and sides are quite garish, but I absolutely love them for some reason. So yeah, I need to get through more of these, as many as possible. Now we come to the speed round. Boo, 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 boo. So this is the long-term TBR. So I'm literally not going to say anything about these, but these are books and series authors that I am aware of that I want to read, but are kind of pushed down. So let me know if they need to go up. So I'm just going to fire through them. China Miéville, Daniel Abraham, I need to look at my list. Mark Lawrence, the Second Apocalypse series, more classic sci-fi authors like Philip K. Dick, I've read 3. Arthur C. Clarke, I've not read any. Kurt Vonnegut, only read 1. Samuel Delaney, I need to read more. Alistair Reynolds, I need to read Tad Williams. I want to read Kim Stanley Robinson, Janie Wirtz. I've read some Margaret Atwood, but I need to read more. Haruki Murakami. Pow! Let's try and keep this video not 80 minutes long. So if you've made it this far, firstly, thank you for putting up with my rambling. I love you. I'm going to talk about my TBR for the rest of the year. So me and TBRs have an interesting relationship, English, Samuel. And that is, I'm not the biggest planner. I kind of have a couple of series that I see me reading in the future, and I tend to not back to back them, like I said before, but I'll read one, read something in between, read the next, read something in between, and so on and so forth. So generally I have series in mind, and then I'll do random stuff in between depending on what I have available to me, or if something really catches my eye. I also run a book club, so we meet about every 6 weeks, and that is determined by the members in the group. So that's another thing. So I don't know what I'll be reading in the book club for the rest of the year, but guaranteed is I'm doing the Blood Swan Saga read-along with the brothers Gwyn. So I'm reading Shadow of the Gods and loving it. So next month I will be reading The Hunger of the Gods, And the month after that, I'll be reading The Fury of the Gods, and I'm extremely excited. And the next thing is like everybody else, I'm preparing myself for Wind and Truth in the Stormlight. I waited until this year to start reading Stormlight, which has been heavy, is a lot of words. So I'm now reading one a month up until the release of Wind and Truth. So I started Dawn Shard yesterday. I will be reading Rhythm of War next month. Then I'm going to read Sunlit Man, and then obviously Wind and Truth in December. So October, Rhythm of War, big boy. This is not a short book, 630 pages, and there will be a book club book in there. Don't know what it is. So I don't know if I'll have time to read anything more in that month. And again, I've got 2 books set for November, 1 big book for December. So I'm just going to kind of fit things in around that. I might read some classic sci-fi. So I have Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. I also have this, Orlando by Virginia Woolf, which is very intriguing to me. But I might read The Parable of the Sower, like I talked about earlier. Let's have a look at the list. I might read some Samuel Delany or some one of the Gallant's books. I'm also really interested in Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. So basically, we'll see. Sorry, it's not very helpful. But at least you know some of the things I'm going to read. So what you guys need to do now is tell me what I should read, both in between these big series that I'm doing and the read-alongs. Let me know what I should read in between those, and push things up and down my list for next year, I guess, or if I manage to squeeze some extra time in. I have a nice spreadsheet that I made, so you can push things up and down that and add to it. It's always good to add to the TBR, even though it's never ending. Please do let me know what I should read. So I think that is about it. So also let me know if you're reading any of these things. I'd love to chat to you about them. And I will see you soon for another video. Thank you so much for watching.